Hello everyone! Welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. My name's ArcRevner and I like to play games, and today we're going to be talking about why you should consider skipping the upcoming Keqing banner. Depending on when you're watching this, the Keqing banner is either right around the corner or already here. And as tempting as it may be to summon for the Electro Queen herself, Miss Keqing, it may not be in your best interest to summon for her during this banner. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Keqing. In fact, she was my first main carry DPS unit in the game, and she's one of my favorite characters all around. However, I really think that this banner is a huge trap and should be avoided for most players. So I wanted to quickly go over all the reasons why you should probably consider skipping the next 2 weeks and save your primos for future banners. As always, there are a few exceptions to the rules, and I'll go over those cases where you should probably summon at the end of the video, but for now, let's just jump right into it. First off, Keqing is not limited. I know that many players, especially free-to-play players, probably still do not have Keqing, but it's still important to consider that it is possible to get her at any time. I got Keqing during the first week of Genshin Impact, while actually summoning for Venti. I was not expecting her and she just popped on the screen. Essentially, every time your pity is reset on a rate-up limited character banner, you have a 50% chance of getting a rate-up character or one of the 5 non-rate-up 5-star characters, Diluc, Jean, Mona, Qiqi, or Keqing. It's only a 1 in 5 chance that it will be Keqing specifically if it's a non-rate-up character, but it does and can happen. You can also pull her on the standard banner at any time, although your chances are even lower there considering that 5-star weapons are included in the mix. So essentially, even though there is a low chance to get her specifically, you still have a chance of getting her. If you're playing over a long period of time, you might get her while doing summons anyway. So it's more important, in my opinion, to summon for limited characters that you may not see again for months at a time. Secondly, Keqing is great, but she's not the best. And before you jump down my throat, all the Keqing lovers, I understand, I love her. Keqing is an amazing character and you can deal out a lot of damage compared to most 4-stars. However, when you directly compare her to other 5-star main carries such as Diluc, Klee, Ganyu, and now Xiao, she unfortunately falls off by a fair margin. Although her damage multipliers are fairly high and her skill and burst cooldowns are extremely fast, due to her Electro typing, she's unable to take full advantage of high damage elemental reaction multipliers, such as Melt and Vaporize, which currently have a monopoly over competitive damage dealing in Genshin Impact. I think out of all the initial 5-stars, Keqing was hurt the most by power creep. For her to be competitive again, she'll either need a buff to her base kit, or a buff to her element as a whole. Thirdly, Electro is the worst element, at least right now. As of recording, I currently believe that Electro is probably the worst element in Genshin. I'm not saying that the Electro characters themselves are bad by any means. Keqing, Razor, Fischl, and Beidou are all extremely good units. However, they're all held back by their Electro typing when it comes to dealing high damage amounts of elemental damage specifically. As I just mentioned, Melt and Vaporize are currently the pinnacle of raw damage in the game, and Swirl reacts well with just about any element besides Geo and adds a fair amount of additional damage to any team that you put them on. And Geo just got an amazing buff in 1.3 that makes them hit much harder and way more competitive. Overcharged and overloaded are great, but they really fall off in terms of high damage numbers compared to Hydro, Cryo, and Pyro units. Luckily, Superconduct is really good for Electro, letting you deal a lot more physical damage, but when we're talking specifically about elemental damage, they just can't keep up. I think it's actually really unfortunate because I love all of the Electro units, but I find myself not using them as often because they can't compete with other characters in endgame content, where time and dealing damage very quickly really matters. I'm really hoping that Electro gets a buff in the future because right now they're falling to the wayside, at least within the current meta. However, we have seen that elements can get buffed. Geo got a huge buff, and maybe MiHoYo will see that Electro is kind of falling behind the other elements and decide to buff them later on. but we have no idea if or when that's gonna happen. Also, Keqing is really great, and I do think that she is the current best Electro damage dealing character in the game. However, she is currently the only 5-star Electro character. This means that we can probably expect a new 5-star Electro character pretty soon. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we got one in 1.4 or 1.5. And although Keqing is a really great character, if MiHoYo keeps up with their current trend of strong units, we will probably see a new 5-star Electro unit that will probably out-damage Keqing. This may come at the cost of them not being able to be as well balanced or have conditions to their power, but based on what we've seen, it's fairly likely that this is going to happen. So it may end up being worth it to hold off on Keqing if you're hoping for higher damage numbers. My current theory is that we're probably going to end up getting Scaramouche as an Electro damage dealer. It's definitely not confirmed, but it just seems very likely. Another reason to probably skip is Hu Tao is most likely right around the corner. There have been numerous rumors and hints that Hu Tao is coming soon. Despite MiHoYo not officially stating an official date of her raid up, the fact that we've been shown her raid up weapon, the Staff of Homa, almost proves that she's going to be here sooner rather than later. Pyro characters are currently highly favored in the meta, so if you don't already have a character like Diluc or Klee, she might be a great character to pull for if you want to take on endgame content and pass the damage checks that are required to beat them. Although I can't state anything for a fact just yet, I'm almost 100% sure that Hu Tao is going to be one of the highest damage dealing characters in the game, strictly based off of what I've read from her current kit and abilities. Lastly, the 4-star characters on raid up are great, but this isn't your only chance to get them. The 4-stars are very, very tempting for most players this go around, largely due to the fact that Nigguang and Bennett are on raid up. Although, despite both of them being some of the best units in the game, I would ultimately still say wait. 4-stars are consistently rotating raid ups, and although you may have to wait a month or two in order for them to come back, it may be worth the wait in order to get them on a limited character banner that you are more excited to pull for. And while Bennett and Nigguang are exceptional, there's still a chance that you'll get Barbara instead, and while she is a great healer, she's a character that almost everyone already has 1 to 2 copies of because MiHoYo has given her to players for free more than once. Also, if you're really dead set on getting a copy of Nigguang, you can always pick her up from the current Lantern Rite event as your free Liyue 4-star. So there's really no point to pulling for her now unless if you're trying to get more constellations for her. Alright, so those were all the main reasons I can't advise people to pull on the banner. However, like all things in Genshin Impact, there is always exceptions. If you have always wanted Keqing, and she is your absolute favorite character in the game, this is your best chance to guarantee that you get her no matter what. Keqing has an amazing design, and in my opinion is one of the most fun to play characters in Genshin Impact. Even if she can't compete with some of the other main carries in terms of raw damage, she's easily one of the most fun to play and takes down enemies with the most style and grace. Keqing is actually one of my personal favorites in terms of playstyle, and is fairly easy to use and is extremely flexible in terms of builds. Need an Electro unit? She's the best in the game. Need a physical damage unit? She can do that too. Having trouble exploring? She's got your back. The most important thing when going for characters is first and foremost that you enjoy playing them. You could have a C6 Zhao, Ganyu, Diluc with all maxed out items and stats, but ultimately it would really mean nothing if you don't enjoy their playstyle or the character. So if Keqing will improve your overall gaming experience, then make sure you go get her. I just wanted to give my opinion so that low spending players can make an informed decision before spending their precious primos. Also, if you do not have a single copy of Bennett, or if you're really trying to get C1, then this is probably a good chance to go and get him. I just wanted to remind you guys that there are going to be other opportunities to get Bennett in the future, even though he is one of the best characters in the game. So it ultimately comes down to whether you want him right now, or if you're willing to wait a little bit. Alright guys, that's all for now. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, please feel free to leave me a like and comment down below. It really does help my channel grow, and I really appreciate it. Let me know what you're planning on doing, whether you think this banner is worth it, or if you're planning on skipping this banner altogether for future banners. Also, if you like Genshin Impact and this is your first time seeing my channel, consider subscribing. We just hit 1,000 subs not too long ago, and we're inching our way along to 2,000. Alright, well, that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching. Best wishes. Bye.
Incoming! Speed of light! Don't blink! Hey! With sword comes shadow. When your heart is set on something, you get closer to your goal with each passing day.